down this gang. Yikes.
5 on the floor, ride for my dogs. Where here's the thing, you can check the score. Hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frogs. Just like Butler said, you in trouble, y'all. Kept the flow playing, got it all band. Y'all seen the block, stop with one hand. And Pat we trust, it's about have the guts. We're here to bring the heat, y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, and Alex Toledo, plus others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Welcome back to the latest edition of 5 on the Floor Live. I am your host, Greg Sylvander. With me tonight's floor plan, we have Sean Rochester. You can follow him on Twitter at SRochesterNBA. On the ones and twos is Manny Chang. You can see him up top. He is at Apex63_ on Twitter. Usually he's behind the scenes, but we want his takes. It's NBA Finals time, and he is a Heat lifer, so we'd like to hear what he has to say as well. We're going to dive into what was a heartbreaking loss. When you lose both games at home after getting that guts-filled victory in Denver, you felt like you could come back to Miami and gain control of a series, and instead it went the exact opposite. Denver comes in, controls wall to wall, basically gets both games despite Jokic having a slight ankle injury. There was not a lot to look forward to when this was all said and done. The Miami Heat are now down 3-1. Only the Cleveland Cavaliers, yes, those Cavs, the LeBron-led Cavs who went and beat the Warriors, have ever came back from 3-1. They're heading back to Denver. It doesn't look good. We're not going to try to sugarcoat that. No sunshine pumping from me, but we are going to talk about how we got here, and we are going to get into the game. Before we do, we're going to tell you about the lead sponsor of all of our post-game shows. It is Aggressive Insurance. 954-581-8800 is the phone number. Aggressive Insurance is a broker agency that's been servicing South Florida for over 15 years, offering auto, homeowners, condo, life insurance, retirement programs, free notary service for all clients, representing all the leading insurance carriers throughout South Florida. So if you have a bad driving record, no problem. No driver is refused. Free phone quotes. Give her a call, 581-8800. With 954 is the area code. The website is insurancebylynette.com. That's with 2 N's and 2 T's, insurancebylynette.com. She's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, probably in the comments here. She's a huge Heat fan. Call her, let her know 5 on the Floor, 5 Reasons Sports sent you. Lynette, insurancebylynette.com, Aggressive Insurance, 954-581-8800. So that was tough. 108-95. Another game where Miami didn't feel in control. They didn't shoot well from 3. They shot 8 of 25, 32%. They didn't get a master class from Jimmy. The type of master class we're talking about is not the 25, 7, and 7 he got. We knew to beat this Denver team, Jimmy was going to have a superhuman effort at some point. That didn't necessarily come to fruition. In the first half, it was just a mud-slinging, ugly game, Sean. What were your early takeaways? Did you feel like that this game was trending like the last one where Denver was just going to eventually break away? Because I felt differently. I thought that Miami could have made a run here, and eventually what transpired is in the third quarter, they fell flat and they could never rebound. But I'm just interested as we rebound all the way to the beginning of the game. How do you think Miami approached the start to this game? And did you feel like they at least put themselves in position early to get a game? And we're going to talk about what went wrong late in a minute.
Yeah, looking back at halftime, 55-51 Denver. The 4 factors were relatively close. Nuggets had a 122 offensive rating, Heat 110, not bad. The turnovers was somewhat close at that point, 13-6, and that stretched out in the second half. Offensive rebounding was close. I mean, the free throw rate was a little bit more in favor of Denver, but like everything, if you look backwards from that 55-51, midway through the second quarter, Duncan hit a 3, had an assist. It was tied 30-30. Denver called a timeout. We just couldn't get back to that. And it was kind of like game 3. we looked good in the first half, but we could never get it back to that momentum we had in the first half. I tried as much as I could to take notes during the game, and I had a lot of notes in the first half, and my second half is like 4 things. Like I just like put the cap on the pen and just put it back in the drawer. Like it was just so frustrating because every time they started to make a run on something, they could never get sustained, a stop score and a stop, like a run that you can, start cutting into things. And credit to Denver. They're just very good. I just, at this point, I think we just all have to admit that. Like it's been a great run. Denver is really, really, really good.
They are highlighting the things that, Miami's really good, and Miami is as good as anyone in the East, but to do it throughout an entire regular season and also to do it year over year, Denver is showing you need athletes and you need guys who aren't specialists. And so, Manny, I have a question for you because what we're seeing here, and Spoelstra acknowledged it post game, as I'm getting quotes from Ethan. He says Spoelstra saw what was obvious, that Strus and Vincent didn't have it going, and he went with the other guy 6 the rest of the second half. But you can argue that starting them in the second half was the difference. Those minutes killed Miami. From your perspective, Manny, do you think that it's time for Max Strus to exit the starting lineup and Duncan Robinson to become the new sharpshooter in that lineup to start the game for Miami?
Thanks, Greg. First of all, let me read this donor right here. Thank you, KB, for $5. You guys are the only coverage I can tolerate. The national media they be loving this. Thank you, KB. To answer your question, to me, it's a little bit too late, even if you wanted to do that. You got here because of Strus. You got here because of Caleb. You got here because of the system that you put in place in the playoffs, and it's gotten you here. To all of a sudden want to change that, I don't think, in all fairness, man, we're all He-lifers. We all have guts. I don't think it makes a difference, man. I mean, I think, guys, last game we talked about Jimmy and Bam needed somebody to step up somewhere. We needed somebody to give you 25 plus. We needed somebody that can create a momentum swing in order for that these guys don't have to feel that. And tonight, it was not a Heat player. It was a Denver Nugget named Aaron Gordon. Like that man all of a sudden took care. He was the third guy that we were looking for on our roster. And he basically give credit to where credit is due. Denver saw the weakness, and we could never capitalize it, though, guys. I felt like when I believe in the first half or whatnot, the best center in the world, which to me it's quite clear he's in the finals. He's on the bench, and you can't take advantage of points in the paint, right? And I think towards the end of the fourth quarter as well, where you're down, I believe, 6? I think it was 6 or 7. Bruce Brown is hitting shots over your head, and Aaron Gordon is getting to where it gets to. But that's on the offensive end, right? That's their offensive end, our defensive end. How about us? No, there wasn't anything really flowing. It felt, again, staggering once again. This felt like, guys, once again, that second half that we had with Boston. And our last 4 home playoff games, I really don't know what's happened.
Yeah.
I really don't know what's going on, especially in the second half. And I think Sean said it best. You can write 1,000 notes in the first half because those are notes and those are things that we see that you can capitalize on. There was absolutely nothing in the last 2 games in the second halves in these 2 games that we can probably say, well, maybe you should do this, do that. So to answer your question, I don't really think it matters because right now we have to give credit where credit is due. This is just Denver's time. Like I looked at my girlfriend and she's crying and I'm looking at her, hey, it's just Denver's time. Like for us, when we had Wade and we felt it in the fire instead of 06, it was our time.
You knew it.
It's Denver's time, man. It's Denver's time.
Yeah, it has looked like it has been, and no matter what they throw at them, they're figuring it out. There's a couple comments here that I want to get to with donations. One is from Heat Vols, who is a legendary playback contributor, I'll say. And he says regular season effort in a game we needed max effort. He's right about that. I mean, the mistakes have to be minimized. There's another one here from Lucky Luciano 23. He says Jimmy is having one of the biggest meltdowns ever. This is where we're going to stop and we're going to talk about this, because that's bullshit. Jimmy Butler, Josh Hart hurt him, and he's been dealing with that. Not only his ankle, but he feels it in his foot, and it's something that he's managing, and it's tough. And he's not melting down. He's not like shrinking under pressure. He's doing everything he can to try to contribute and play good. And and try to give what he can for this team. It sucks that that it happened the way that it did. There's no excuses, and he doesn't want there to be excuses, but he's not melting down. Stop it. I'm going to read one more, and then I'd like to hear Sean's reaction to it. This is from Carlos or Corbs. Do you have any idea why the Heat didn't go to the zone in the fourth and when Jokic went to the bench? Sean.
I don't remember seeing a whole lot of zone the whole game. And, maybe that was the adjustment that Spo saw, that in game 3, they kind of figured it out, the adjustments they made with where they put Jokic in the zone. And, I think Manny said it pretty well. Like in the fourth quarter, when you were trying to make that run, the shots seemed to come from, it wasn't Jokic, it wasn't Murray, it was Jeff Green, a corner 3. It was a Bruce Brown after a turnover. It was Contavious Caldwell-Pope in transition. Like, if you come into the game and your mentality is, I got to stop Murray, I got to stop Jokic, and those other guys, you have to live with something. You can't stop everything, especially against a high-powered offense like this. And those guys stepped up. I mean, you can't account for Aaron Gordon to have 27 points. You can't account for 21 off the bench from Bruce Brown, 3 of 5 shooting from Bruce Brown, like from behind the arc. Like, that's just not, you can't have that happen if you want to win. And, we're not up here making excuses. We're just trying to look at it in an objective way, not just as a Heat fan, but look at the evidence and then go from there.
So we have more comments. I think the homie Manny's gonna queue up this one.
Yeah, I got it. Lou Reviews, thank you for your $10 dono. Y'all gonna fall for this again. All of you guys in the chat on the show are going to doubt again how we forget so quickly. The shots are open. They will drop in game 5. Dale.
Thank you for the guts. I know it's hard to get there.
Give him credit, but I mean, hey,
listen,
we're fans.
I want to say one thing. Falling for it again, we all understand and have faith in this group, but there's certain things you need to see, and we haven't seen them quite yet. But I do like the fact that you are still coming with the guts and that they will drop in game 5, hopefully. But now you got to win a whole bunch of games in a row. And so I just hope that with their backs against the wall that they can make this interesting. But ultimately, this is different than the Boston series. This is different than how you felt when you lost a game against New York. This is a team that is presenting challenges that you don't know if you can get over the hump against. And the biggest part of it is, if Jimmy Butler is not superhuman, what can you do? I know what you can do, though. If you need to get your house sold quickly, or you need to buy a house quickly, you need to go to, and this is close to the website, but it's actually mortgagebyarash.com. And mortgagebyarash.com, he's a huge Heat fan, so he's going through it with us. But he is going to find you the perfect loan. Why? Because he's got you covered with competitive rates, a down payment options as low as 3%, fast closings, most in less than 20 days, credit score starting at 620, and he can get you in. First-time home buyer programs, they're available, which I know that a lot of people right now are trying to venture into that. You need to get with mortgagebyharash.com. Borrower assistant programs are available with down payment and closing costs to help out with those. Listen, I think that 954-651-2057 is the number you should call if you are looking to buy a house. Go to mortgagebyarash.com. Again, that's mortgagebyarash.com. Check him out. Huge Heat fan. There's the website. You're seeing it live on the show. We appreciate his sponsorship through this NBA Finals run. We're going to read a few more comments, but I do want to talk through another big part of it, of tonight's game. And it's sandwiched into a couple things. One, Kevin Love, I thought, played a good game, provided a big third quarter spark that they needed. And I think that Bam also has done well considering the circumstances. So ultimately, the Heat bigs have done what they can do to either of you.
May I just oppose you a little bit with Bam?
Yeah. Talk to me, because that's what I was just going to say. Yeah,
I don't want to be this guy. Because to me, Bam, if you are a true NBA fan and you've seen his game in Kentucky and you've seen the evolution he's been able to do with a Heat jersey on, you gotta say it's an unbelievable thing. But to me, and I'm going to say this, these last 2 home games, there's been times and where the league could have been down to single digits, 2 possessions, and those short misses, man, those short misses at the rim. Listen, we all know this. Basketball is a game of runs. It's a game of momentum. You make those little bunnies, man, who knows how the game ends. It just feels like those misses that he had in the fourth quarter, last 2 home games. Not to say that's the reason why we lost, but it sucks the air out of you because you're on this run and he's getting these open looks and he's missing them. He's missing them in crucial situations.
Yeah. No, I understand.
Say the whole game's not crucial, but it sucks the living air out of you. And you're thinking to yourself, what if he makes one of these?
And we talked about this on Playback, Greg, that there were a couple of times where he got mismatches where KCP or someone smaller was on him, and
he could have gone in and dunked it.
He went to the fadeaway. He went to the little midi floater. Take that power dribble. He's not going to be Shaq. He's not going to be Hakeem Olajuwon. He's not going to be Zoe even. But get yourself a closer shot. Power up through somebody. Get fouled. He's such a good free throw shooter. That's such an advantage. But and again, I think Manny, we're not shitting on Bam by any means. He had a great game. He had another double-double. He's playing great defense. He's making guys work. He's doing everything we can potentially ask him to do. But you need more.
You're right.
It's the same thing we're talking about with Jimmy.
At this level,
Jimmy had a good game. He had 25, 7, and 7. We need more. It is what it is. That's what we're talking about.
And to the point of needing more, I think that what we need more of in these post-game shows, because a lot of this we've relied on emotion, and there's a great comment from Mr. Fresco with agree, no room for errors. And there's a lot of great comments. Thank you for everyone who's joining as we go through this gut-wrenching loss. We are going to have you up to the end of this Miami Heat run because it's magical no matter what. I got my finals hat in the mail today, and I'm wearing it proudly because they're making this great run. And I think that ultimately the team builder part of me looks at this team and says, look, we're seeing all the places that they need to build differently. Murder Gang says he misses Hassan Whiteside, and you are emotional for tonight. Have a good night's sleep. When you wake up in the morning, you're going to feel a lot better and you won't feel those feelings. And if you do, you need to get down on your knees and pray. I'm joking. Sean Rochester, as we've dealt so much in emotions, let's talk about numbers. You have Cleaning the Glass pulled up. That is a great resource for those of you who don't know, that kind of give us an idea of how things went in this game. Talk to us about what you're seeing from both teams tonight, offensively, defensively, with turnovers and free throw rate and such.
Yeah, so obviously, this is going on the podcast feed, so I'm going to try to walk through. Obviously, it's a great visual if you can watch this on the YouTube channel. Cleaning the Glass does a good job of having an overview and the key factors in the game. And when you look at that, more often than not, if you lose more of those factors, you lose the game. I mean, it's as simple as that. First of all, the possessions, another slow-paced game. If you're using Better Edge, which we should recommend that you do, use the code 5RSN, get yourself $20 from Ethan Skolnick. I always recommend that. But you'll get yourself unders. These possession, these slow-paced games, everything's trending under. But the offensive rating, 120 for the Nuggets, 104 for the Heat, 67th percentile for the Nuggets. You're actually doing a pretty good job. They're right around their season average. You're not shutting them down. Almost impossible. They're not killing us on offense. But 104 offensive rating for us, 19th percentile, not good enough. Effective field goal percentage, better than us by a big gap. Turnovers, we're a team that needs to force turnovers that will help our offense. We're up at 18. They're around 9. Not good enough. Offensive rebounding, actually did a good job on this tonight. We had almost double, a little bit less than double. We were around 26% offensive rebounding rate. That's pretty good. Not good enough. But also we missed more shots, so we had more opportunities for offensive rebounds. And the free throw rate, we was pretty much even. We were a little bit better. The other thing I wanted to point out that I noticed, in the last few games, we have had very low percentage of rim attempts. We were at 28%, which is still not good, but a little bit higher. And we actually shot the ball pretty well at the rim. The problem is that We shot it poorly from behind the arc tonight, and they shot the ball 50% from behind the arc. And you can look, they just carved us up from 3. You knew that was going to happen, right? They're a good shooting team. It was not looking that way in the first 3 games. And then suddenly, they caught fire. And the guys that caught fire, unfortunately, were the, Aaron Gordon, 3 for 4. Jokic was 3 for 7. You live with that. Murray, 2 for 3. Caldwell Pope, 2 for 5.
Yeah.
Jeff Green, 1 for 1. Bruce Brown, 3 for 5. Those guys, the Gordons and the Browns, you just can't have those many threes from those guys. So, data is data. It's tough to, look at it and draw too much conclusion, but it matches what we saw tonight, unfortunately.
Aaron Gordon ripped our hearts out, whether it's in data or it's in real time in the eye test. We definitely saw that for sure. We hope that kind of brings a little bit of statistical context into what you saw tonight. We're going to read it for a few more comments, get to some final thoughts. But before we do, I want to tell you about another great sponsor, one that's near and dear to my heart, and that is Water Cleanup of Florida. And they have a new membership program. They've just announced an open enrollment period. Preventative maintenance programs will assist the average homeowner become the more aware and primary maintenance that is needed in your home. They have additional programs to place members on a hurricane priority list after a major weathering event and annual air quality testing services. So with over 16 years of inspecting buildings for damage in South Florida, Water Cleanup of Florida has noticed trends that lead to the development of this unique program. Insurance claims typically do not cover damage due to the lack of primary maintenance. So that's where you get in good here. Leaking windows, doors, air handlers, heavy rain seepage. That's just a few of the examples of costly projects that they can get you the right maintenance that will have those be avoided. Most homeowners need help following the property maintenance program, and they will get it done. WCUFL membership program can help. They are fully licensed, insured. Call Michael anytime on his personal cell, 954-579-0356. Again, that's 954-579-0356, or visit their website, WCUFL.com. Hurricane season is approaching, so get in on this hurricane priority list and this WCUFL membership program. Call them at 954-579-0356. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Water Cleanup of Florida. If you have the schmutz, they got the guts. So let's take a few more comments here. Manny, whatever you choose.
Yeah, so I found an interesting comment here. Let's see if I can pull it up. They're going so fast. This one, is this true, Sean? And I'm trying to figure this one out real quick.
Yeah, I can quickly get to that information.
Because that just seems
for our podcast.
As someone that has bet that, yes, that is definitely true.
Yeah, so Siva says Jimmy hasn't had a steal in 3 games. Hasn't happened to him since 2015. So I did not know that part of it, but I can absolutely confirm he has not had a steal in 3 games. And prior to that, only had 1 in game 1. He had 3 in game 7. But this is a thing where you could count on 2 Jimmy steals with his eyes closed. And he's not doing that free safety stuff, as Brian Fonseca calls it. And that is clearly showing you that he is not physically in the place where Jimmy Butler should be. Correct. Good call on that comment, Manny. That was a good one. Mark Castillo comes in and says, how was Spo able to find a way to play Strus 19 minutes? Unbelievable coaching right there. 19 minutes. I mean, we're talking about Max Strus here. Just quickly to give you guys an idea, he's gone from, in this series, 21 minutes to 29 to 24, down to 18 minutes and 56 seconds. I think a starting lineup change may be in order for game 5. Sean, do you disagree with me? What is your take on Max Strus? And then we will take another comment and close.
Yeah, I said going into this game that I would give him a short leash, and his leash was a lot longer than I really wanted, to be honest with you, especially in the second half. I think I would start Duncan. At this point, you're unloading the clip. I mean, you're going back to Denver.
Sean, Duncan Robinson was running your offense in the fourth quarter, and it was all like done.
I mean, I've been saying this for years, guys.
Yeah, right?
No, listen. I mean, he's been effective. His net rating when he's on the floor has been good. He draws the attention of the defense. He's kind of holding up on defense. I mean, we understand his limitations, but you just figure out what you think is working best and you try to find a way to get one freaking win. That's it. That's all that matters. Yep. One win.
Extend the series. And I want to close with Lynette's comment, Manny, because I'm glad you pulled it up. Insurance by Lynette, one of the truest Heat fans. She is here for every broadcast, is in the trenches as a Miami Heat fan, going through the highs and the lows. Let me tell you, you need to reach out to A Aggressive Insurance. She says, we don't have enough in this series. No Hero, no Oladipo. Don't forget, the Miami Heat's 20-point per game scorer. Take a 20-point per game scorer out of Denver's lineup, and let's see what they look like. I know that it's hard to swallow that tonight because they lost. But just for context, remember that they're shorthanded. And ultimately, no matter what happens in this series, no matter what happens tonight, and I know no one wants to hear me go down this road, but I'm ending here. This has been a successful year for the organization, for the franchise. They are set up to make the right kind of moves to continue to contend. And for right now, the Stings, let them get a game 5. Like Boston was saying, just don't let us get one. Saying that as well. But ultimately, they're in the NBA Finals, and there's good that can be taken from that. Thank you for joining us and sticking it out, even when it's been tough. To our sponsors, mortgagebyarash.com, Prize Picks, Better Edge as our gambling and daily fantasy sponsors, insurancebylynette.com. That's A Aggressive Insurance. And then also Water Cleanup of Florida. If you have the schmutz, they got the guts. Sean, Manny, thank you for joining me. To all of our Heat fans out there, the culture always, always prevails. Stick by this team. Good night.